So, Brother Scott, how was your Thanksgiving, my friend?
It was fantastic. We went jet skiing. Did
Jet skiing.
Yeah, we went jet skiing in the yard. We did the normal turkey, but we also had meatballs. My wife makes great meatballs, and then we did crab legs in the evening. So it was a feast.
Mm.
Yeah, we had 22 pounds of crab legs.
I,
So
s- I saw that box.
yeah, that was 11 pounds. We had two of those boxes.
Good gracious. Scott, you too much, man. I was thinking about you the other day. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get out of bed today. I think I'm gonna hang out. I'm not gonna work today.
But you need to stop by here one day. And I'm telling you what, every day I'm like, I don't think I want to leave the resort. I said I'm just staying home today. I'm coming up with some work I can do from home. I love it here.
It's so weird, man. You just life just has, I mean, were you always? Are you like born from entrepreneurs?
Um, my father had a print shop when I was a kid. He had his own business. He had a print shop, but I don't know if you'd call it an entrepreneur, but he did have his own business.
Hmm.
But that's really the extent of it.
Yeah.
I've been told my mother's parents or grandparents, way prior to me, this is like in the 40s and 50s, they used to own stuff, movie theaters and stuff in New York. But they were all dead before I was ever born, so I don't really know anything about it.
It'd be nice
But
to have those stories, right? So like how someone leaving you like an audio.
yeah,
That's ironic you mentioned that. I'm working on that with my family. I'm getting everybody to just do about it. We'll do 1 hour just to say who the hell you are so we can pass it on to the future generation.
yep.
Roundup. Thanks for hanging out with us again. I just want to make sure that you know what we are doing. I had my boy on Mike Fritz earlier today. We've got Eddie coming on later tonight, just to verify that you understand that today is the last day for my mentor Scott Jelinek's Black Friday / Cyber Monday special on his 3-day training. So Scott Jelinek back in the building. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fantastic, Chris. I want to point something out because you just mentioned it. For anybody that you have that does watch your show or listen to it, this is not something we've actually offered anywhere. I haven't been on anyone else's podcast, any shows or anything. This has literally never been offered anywhere except on your thing. I'm just pointing that out, Chris, because I know a lot of people run around town and they're basically offering the same stuff everywhere. This has only been offered on your show, and that's it. It's never been offered anywhere else.
I appreciate that. But just to give, I got to toot my horn a little bit. I did ask you for a long time to do
Yeah,
that,
I
though.
know you did. I know you did. We literally created it for you.
That's cool. So a lot of people around the country, I know. Well, people fly in for this event too, don't
For
they?
the seminars, right? We always do it live, but I've never done much of what we're doing here, or we're doing recordings. I've always done live events.
You know what? Maybe, hey, I'm like this, Scott. Maybe if I could just host one for you, would you be willing to? I'm not holding your foot to the fire, but maybe we could do a virtual thing.
It's definitely worth talking about.
Yeah, man, that'd be cool.
Technology is not my friend, so yes, definitely worth talking about.
Well, I'd hire somebody to come to your house and well, last time we crashed and burned, but we made it through.
Hoping the technology holds up today.
So roundup, Scott has been in the business since the early 1990s, done a million deals, been through crashes, booms, and busts, and I value his opinion. So he actually recorded his event for us to be able to offer to you because when I went to it, and I've been doing real estate for a million years too, but it was so dynamic. I wanted him to bring it to you. Scott, real quick, I know the sale is going to end today. Just give me a back overview of what your 3-day event is and what's your special thing on this slow flip.
So it's not just about the slow flips, although everything does revolve around slow flips. So it's interesting because I got an email from somebody that was on your thing the other day saying it is the whole course slow flips, and it's not. We
Okay.
do teach, it's important to know because like some of it all involves slow flips. For instance, marketing. There's a lot of it that's marketing.
Yeah.
So marketing works for everything. It works for your wholesales, your rehabs, but you also need to market for your slow flips. And we go over specifically how to market with your slow flips. We go over how to answer the phone call, which sounds very basic, but when someone's brand new, guess what they do? When they're afraid, don't know how to answer it, they don't answer. They figure, let them leave a message and I'll call back. The challenge with that is when somebody is a motivated seller, if you do not answer the phone, they're going to call the next person. They're going to call until somebody answers the phone and satisfies that pain. We go over how to go on the buy call appointment. And, this is one of the things I absolutely love because much like answering the phone, if someone's afraid to make low offers, they don't make low offers. Instead, they tell them, I got to crunch the numbers and I'll get back to you. And then they never get back to them. because they don't want to be rejected, right? So we go through a process for delivering the offer while staying friends with them without them becoming mad at you and you seeing you as the enemy. We're with them against the company instead of them against you. We go through all the multiple exit strategies because I love slow flips, but that's not the only thing you can do. There's, everybody knows you can wholesale, you can rehab, you can keep as rentals, you can slow flip, you can do wholesale lease options, you can do, we sell some things with owner financing, we buy with owner financing. There's a bunch of creative strategies as well that you can do. Then clearly we get into the slow flips, which is my favorite part of the business. I was thinking today when we were talking about, I wanted to do this with you, Chris, during the daylight so I can show you the resort, right, in the backyard, because it's amazing here. And I was doing the math, and mind you, I paid for the house, but if I had financed it, I could have bought it with just 20 slow flips, which is insane because of the way interest rates are today. Just 20 slow flips would have paid for the resort. And so you don't need, I have 115, you don't need that many to live, an unbelievable life. We get into raising private money, which is another thing that's huge because guess what? Everybody wants to do slow flips, but you need money to do them. And so we get into how to raise the money so that you have unlimited money to be able to do the deals, which is really important because otherwise you find the deals. And if you don't have 300 grand, you can't buy it for it. And you need to have the money lined up from your private lenders so that you can in fact use them for your slow flips. We do it on a 5-year program. You're not obligated to the 5-year program. I always tell people, and it's in the training, that you make the program that works for you. The important thing about that is that you make a program. You don't just want to say, hey, you want to loan me some money? How much do you want to make? Oh, how much do you want to lend? You want to go in saying, this is how much I borrow. This is the rate I pay. These are the terms. So that they're basically deciding yes or no, not what do I want to ask for? You create your own program and then fit them into your program. We go over the roller coaster of a real estate investor. I know I talked to you guys about that the other day, about the ups and downs, what you should and shouldn't do in different stages of your business, which is a huge thing. I always joke about during the boom, I was crushing it. And I remember it vividly where I was literally, first off, I had a 4,500 square foot office is one of the things. And I'm by myself. Wow. And I always think about it. I'm like, and I still own this building now. I've sold it on a slow flip. I've sold it with owner financing. But I always think about it. I'm like, what was I thinking to buy a 4,500 square foot office for a real estate investor? I could fit in a closet. What do I need with that? But we were making so much money. Everything just seemed unstoppable. I was buying a Lamborghini, and I know I told you about this, Chris. I had the paperwork. I was putting a $50,000 deposit on it. I was financing it, and I had the check already made, and I didn't mail it before the bust happened. And I got so lucky because had I mailed it, what would have happened? They would have come with that tow truck and found that Lamborghini, and so there's different things. So the point I'm making is there's different things that happens in different stages, and you need to make sure during the right stage you're doing the right things. And so we talk a lot about that. And then I also go over all the paperwork and, how to fill out which documents you need, how to fill them out, because I think it's really important that you're comfortable with your paperwork before you go on the appointment. The last thing in the world you want to do is finally have a seller say yes. That's the word you're waiting for. You're shocked. Now you pull out the paperwork and you don't even know what it means. You're trying to come off as a professional. This is what you do. The last thing you want to do is to pull it out and say, and they ask you, what does number 7 mean? And you're like, I don't know. It's just standard stuff. You want to know what everything means. And so we try and get everybody to go over the paperwork, practice filling it out, get to know it before you're in a live seller situation. And that's mostly the gist of it. There's a lot more, obviously, because it takes 3 full days, but that's the short version of it.
So, Scott, what did you come up with this? I remember when I was sitting in the audience, being a consultant before you want to go in and try to go for the kill, buy it.
Yeah, so this is, it's interesting that you brought up that specific part because I was actually thinking about talking about that tomorrow with my group. I think it is the most important thing you can do when you go on an appointment to set your own needs aside, to set your own motives aside, your own agenda aside, and you are there strictly to find out what's going on with the seller and help them.
Break that down a little bit, Scott, because a lot of us we can't even set our own needs aside.
Well, so your agenda, when you're going on an appointment, your agenda is to buy the house and to buy it for as cheap as possible. Simple as that. That's how you make money. I need to buy this house for as little money as possible. However, when you go on an appointment to be good at this business and to enjoy the business, you have to set your own agenda aside and go in with the different mindset of, I'm there to help you, the seller, to go over all your situation, go over the house and find out what the best path, what the best avenue is for you. Sometimes that best path is not you buying the house. And you have to be okay with that. And I'm going to tell you, I know we only have a couple minutes tonight, Chris, but I'm going to tell you a story about it.
Go ahead, man, go.
So I have a specific situation. This house was in Princess Anne Plaza, and I remember going on the appointment. And part of the things we do is we literally go over all their options with them. Why don't you just keep it as a rental if you need X amount? Why don't you renovate it yourself? Why don't you try listing it? There's a lot of things. We're not the only possible option, right? Well, this particular girl, I had mentioned, about keeping it as a rental. And she was like a light bulb went off of her head. She was like, you know what, maybe I should do that. And inside I'm thinking, damn, I just killed the deal because now she wants to keep it as a rental. But I'm here for you, whatever, is in your best bet. So she calls me and tells me she decided to keep it as a rental and she found someone who's going to rent it. It was a friend from work. Would I help her with the paperwork? Now, again, keep in mind, I have nothing to gain from this, nothing at all. But of course, we go in as a consultant. We're there to help you. So not only did I help her, I went to her house. It was close to my office, but I went with the paperwork, helped her to fill it out. She had this guy moving in, and I left, and I get nothing from that, right? And I remember thinking in my head, well, damn, I killed that deal. And now, now she's not going to sell it. She's got a tenant in there, and it's over. And it was over. About 6 months later, I get a call back from her that the tenant didn't pay. This, it's typical when people keep stuff as a rental. Tenant didn't pay. She's already had court. She's in the process of an eviction. Is my offer still good?
Wow.
And I'm excited as can be. Now, keep in mind now, there's not even a consideration of calling any other investor. Who's the guy who came and helped me? Didn't ask for $1, gave me the paperwork. There's not even a consideration of talking to anyone else. I'm your guy, right? So I ended up doing the deal on it. And this is years ago, so I don't remember how much I made, but it was 25, 30 grand. I don't remember exactly what I made, but it didn't stop there. So I did the deal with her and it was over. About 6 months later, and I can't remember the exact date on it, but it was about 6 months later, I get a phone call from a random stranger who was referred to me by this girl, Penny. And it was what we call a laydown. They basically I didn't need to do a presentation. I didn't need to sell them on anything. They were just like, here's my keys, buy my house.
I'm gone.
And why did they do that? Why did they trust me? Because Penny told them all about me, how much I helped them, how much I came through, how much I put her needs first. That they were like, well, Penny told me that you were the guy I needed to use and blah, blah, blah. How fast can you close? Come by my house. And we crushed it on that one. We crushed it. And I didn't even have to do anything for that one because they bought into me because of what I did for someone else. And that happens often, even if this Penny situation didn't come through with me buying her house. Say the renter worked out and she never ended up having to call me back. They still know now that you're not a hard sell. You're not trying to take advantage of them. You're helping them do what's best for them. So when they come across people in the similar situations, and they will, remember, people know people who are like themselves. So if they're the type of person that has a house in distress, so do their friends. Even if I didn't end up doing the deal with her, which turned out to be awesome, I'm still the go-to guy. Whenever she knows anybody with a distressed real estate situation, I know a guy. He hooked me up. He helped me with everything. You need to give him a call. So now I go into it with complete trust. They completely trust me because I was referred by somebody who completely trusts me. And it changes the whole dynamic of you having to sell yourself every single time and tell them how awesome you are and everything that you can do. They want to use you. They're not like, I'm calling 10 guys. They're like, nope, I'm just dealing with you. So that's kind of how we're a consultant as opposed to just going in as a buyer. We go there with the full intention of, yes, we want to buy the house, but you got to set your agenda aside and put them first and say, what's best for them? What can we do for them? And then guide them in the right direction, even if it means you not buying the house. And people hate that because you want to buy the house, but trust me, you'll make more money doing it this way and you'll enjoy the business more because you're never going to feel like that slime ball who's trying to convince people to sell their house when it's not their best option. You know what I mean?
Well, Scott, let me ask you. What's up, buddy?
Sorry, I can tell you later.
You sure?
Yeah.
Scott, I know when I was starting out, I had what I coined a phrase called deal-itis. It's where you just need a deal so bad. You need the money, and you need the closing, you need to make sure that this one deal. What can you give my viewers, my roundup people that need to get this? They got to literally get over it.
This is the problem. And so the only answer to that, and I hate to say it this way, is patience. And the reason is when you don't have, everybody's like, oh, it's easy for you to say. If you don't do another deal, you're great. I get that. But if you have to trust the process and just be patient. If you try and just jump in and slay everybody in front of you, even if it's not their best bet, but you're making money on it, what's going to happen is you're going to be in the business a short period of time because you're not going to get any of that referrals. You're not going to get any of that goodwill. And you're going to get that deal that you strong arm somebody into, but that's where it's going to end. as opposed to the opposite. If you're just patient, do what's best for them. It's going to turn out to also be what's best for you. And then you're going to build a real business where people are talking about you behind your back in a good way. This is the guy who helped me. This is the guy who got me out of this situation. And other people don't need to go through that indoctrination with you. They already know from somebody that they know, like, and trust that you were the guy that helped them. Yeah. So patience is what you need. If you got dealitis, the medicine is going to be patience.
I will tell you that real estate, I was very impatient before I got into the real estate business, and it taught me patience regarding closings. I'm waiting to get $70,000 today, in the closing. They're like, next week. So I think the business will teach us patience. Scott, what do you think?
And not just that's a big part of it, but the other part is the follow-up part, where you can have a great appointment. I got an unbelievable appointment tomorrow with one of my coaching students, but I know that there's a great chance we won't get it tomorrow, but we'll still get it a month, 2, 3, 4 from now.
6, yeah.
So that's a big part of the patience, sometimes 2 and 3 years from now. So that's a big part of the patience.
Wow.
Is getting the lead is a big part of it. Going on the appointment's a big part of it, but follow-up is so important. It's so important because a lot of our deals come weeks, if not months, after the appointment. Yeah. So you've got to be patient.
Follow up. I'm glad you're saying that. Round up. So don't forget, I'm bringing Scott back on just so I could just remind you that he has his slow flip training. It's a 3-day live recorded event where Scott is literally spitting from the stage. And it's all you, right? Is it anybody else, Scott?
It's all me. I talk a little bit slower than I'm talking right now because I am on stage. I know I can go at it. Sometimes people are like, man, he talks fast. And I do talk fast, but when I'm on stage, I do speak slower because I got an audience and I also take questions. So I do speak a little bit slower if you can't listen that fast.
All right. Well, I want them to speed up. I want them to catch up to your level. So I'm just going through my home today. I'm like, I thank God for the stuff that I have. Tell me about with raising private money, right? I know I raise it, you raise it, but where did you get that whole thing of not actually asking the person that you're talking to?
I don't know if I learned that. I read a lot of books, so it's hard to. Sometimes I think I made something up, and then I'll reread a book I read 10 years ago, and I'll be like, oh, that's where I got that from. And so I don't actually know exactly where I got it from, or if I made it up. I might have made it up out of necessity because it's for my own self. When I'm going to raise money, you're uncomfortable to be rejected. Everybody is. So the last thing you want to do is to, hey, Chris, you want to invest in this deal? And you say no, and then I feel like crap. So it's a lot better for me to ask you if you know somebody who wants to make 12% return on their money secured by real estate. And you can't tell me no because I didn't ask you. I'm asking you if you know somebody. You can say, no, I don't know anybody. And then that's the end of it. You didn't reject me. You're just saying you don't know anybody. Odds are, because I am pitching you, if you are the one that actually has the money and the ability to invest and you're the one I'm pitching, odds are the answer is going to be, well, why don't you tell me about it? I might be interested in something like that. And which I never cave. Right away, I'm going to say, well, not you. I know you're already buying houses on your own, or you're already working full. You're investing in your IRA, but I know you know other people who might be interested. Until I'm almost making you beg me. It just keeps
they're asking you
the hierarchy. Yeah, it keeps. I don't want to be like I'm sitting there. Oh, would you please loan me money? I'm not asking to borrow money. I'm offering you an opportunity, and it's really important that you stay at those levels because otherwise you feel like crap. Who wants to walk around borrowing from people? Oh, do you want to lend money? Do you want to lend money? No, but offering an opportunity, you got no problem doing that all day long. I'm offering you an opportunity to make 12% on your money or whatever interest rate you decide you want to make into your program. Changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah, I just want my viewers to know that even you have more than enough that you still, let me ask you, do you raise private money or what are you doing?
I do, but the reason I do is because I have a lot of local coaching students. And so I also I use the private lenders we raise from to fund all of their deals for their slow flips. And so we have tons. I'm constantly raising new ones because I have tons of students now here locally buying slow flips. And so some of them are crushing it. Some are doing 12 and 13 and 14 a year. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to raise if they're 30 grand a pop. So I'm constantly still raising new money for my coaching students.
Tell me about your mindset when you're going to borrow, Scott, as opposed to the looking for them doing you a favor by loaning you the money. I want you to tell us about your posture when you approach them.
Well, let me tell you, it's not a pitch. It's real. And this is the interesting thing. So I have some lenders that have been lending to us now since 2011 when we started the Slow Flip program. They brag about us. This is where it's funny. When you start this, When you start raising private money, all of your future lenders, as mine do, come from my current lenders. Because when they're sitting there at a party or at lunch or dinner, talking with their friends, and their friends like, oh, I made 6% on this stock I did last year. And they're like, I get 12% like clockwork every month. And then they're like, whoa, tell me about, what are you talking about? And they say, yeah, I got this guy, I give him 30,000 at a pop and I get 12% fixed rate of return. And next thing you know, I'm getting a call from my guy saying, hey, I got another friend who's interested. Do you need any more? Would you mind talking to him? So they're setting me up where I don't even have to, I'm offering opportunity, and they're so thankful because you know what you're getting. You put your money in a bank, what are you getting? 1%. You put your money in the stock market, the average, they hope to make 8 to 10%. Sometimes you lose 20%. Sometimes it goes up 20%, but they average, I think it's about 8%. Here's a guaranteed 12% with no risk. There is no down years. It's guaranteed. And this is a line I love telling lenders, because when they're trying to gauge their risk, or the worst thing that can happen to you, you follow me, Chris? The worst thing that can happen to you is that I pay perfectly and you only make 12%. And I mean it. That's the truth. The worst thing that can happen is I pay perfectly and you make the 12% as agreed.
What do you mean by that?
If I was to default, now you got a house that we did marketing for, that we put a slow flip buyer in, that we had, brought up to the market standards, and say I paid on it only for a year and defaulted on it. Well, now you loaned 30 grand and there's a $21,000 left owed on it, and they get the house back. I'm like, so they got the best of all worlds. If none of my people have ever defaulted, because I've made it very clear, even when Corona hit, I said, listen, if anybody's having trouble, you let me know first. My lenders, it's important they get paid on the first every month, no questions asked. So if there is trouble, and luckily none of them have had any trouble, but I didn't know in March when it all started, I didn't know how bad it was going to be. And so I was communicating with everybody. I said, if anybody's having trouble, we need to speak ahead of time so the lender never feels a blip. I want them paid on the first every month. But where else could they make that kind of return? Secured by real estate, clockwork on the first of the month. You can't. You just can't. That's it. It's literally the best thing out there for a private lender, which is why I have no problem raising more and more money. And that's why I like teaching people on how to do it, because so many times people say, oh, well, that's easy for you. I don't know anybody that's got that kind of money. And let me tell you something. You do. You do. You may not realize it, and they may not tell you about it, but and that's why we're not going to ask them. We're not going to ask them. We're going to ask them if they know anybody. But the money's out there. The money is definitely out there. It's in your circle right now. There is money out there to do these deals.
Tell me about that mindset, Scott. It took me some years to get over. I remember starting out, I was always thinking like, I got a deal. How in the hell am I going to raise this money? Now I'm like, there's so much of it out there. There's not enough deals. There's so much capital. So tell us about that mindset with you.
Well, the thing is, and this is, you have to be committed to make sure no matter what, my lender's getting paid, and my lender's getting paid perfectly. And as long as you're committed and you know that and you believe it in your heart, you believe it, then you'll have no problem raising money. Where people have challenge, it's all in your head. Like you said, it's all mindset. Where people have challenges, they don't know if they're going to pay the guy back or not. And if they don't know, they don't believe it themselves, right? So if they don't believe it, then it comes across when they try and borrow, because they don't even believe it. They have to know and believe that they're going to do the deal that they planned on doing. Now, sometimes on somebody's first deal, they don't really know, because they're like, it's too good to be true. They're like, how could this be real, right? And then once they do it, you should see the texts I get from people, my own coaching students. So I'm going to tell you, because you're a Hampton guy, I have a guy who just did 2 out in Hampton, 2 of his first slow flips, and he paid a little more than what we normally do. He paid 38 and 40, I think 38 and 40. So his loans were only for 30 because he borrowed, he put in his own cash for the difference. But these were nicer properties. These weren't, these were nicer. I'm trying to remember the name of the street, but you'll know the area. It's what's it called? Ford something by Marion Road and
Fordham.
That's it. It's in the Fordham area. So they're nice shoebox houses, but it's a good area. They have good value.
Yep.
Well, both of them, he closed one on a Thursday and one on a Friday. Both of them by that Sunday. So you're talking 2 or 3 days. He had occupied. I think one of them was like $8,000 down and $975 a month, and one he got, I think, $6,000 down and $975 a month.
Out of here.
And he called me. I remember he was like, I still, even though I was doing it because you said it, but I didn't really believe it was real, and I didn't really believe, and now he believes. I mean, and it's insane. I mean, when you calculate the return, it's like he's like, is the best. It literally is the best thing in the world. And and a lot of times people don't believe it until you're actually doing it. And what makes anybody believe anything? Proof.
Doing it. Yeah.
Proof. Once they do it, and then they're like, okay, well, This is
That
it.
is so cool. Roundup. We're hanging out with one of my mentors, Scott Jelinek. Whenever I have an issue, if it's a big enough issue, I don't call him unless it's a pretty big issue. I send him a text message. Roundup. He's got his Black Friday / Cyber Monday discount on his 3-day live training. It was recorded. It's in the video description, and that discount will end today. After today, it will not be the same. Scott, thank you for offering this, my friend. I appreciate your time.
One last thing before you go, I want to tell you that I think I forgot to say the other day, for anybody who does do it, if they also want to send me an email, or I think you could put it right through the course. I'll also email you all the documents and everything. They may or may not be in the course, but I'll email you all the contracts, the paperwork, the land contracts, all that stuff as well. So if it's not, it's in the program as far as going over it, but I'll email it to you in Word so that you can adjust it for your own business.
Yeah, we figure out how to add that into there. Scott, you're not we got Scott on here, but we got to work with him on the technology.
I'll email it to you.
Okay. So before I let you go, land contracts. I know that's big in your world. What brought you? I know you mentioned you were doing lease options, but why land contracts, Scott, and what does that mean for you?
Well, there's two different things. Now, I believe you like lease options, right, Chris? And I know a lot of people that love lease options, and a lot of people love land contracts, both for different reasons. One of the big things with me, why I'm dead set on a land contract instead of a lease option, it takes me out of the Landlord-Tenant Act. When you're on a lease option, you are still involved with the Landlord-Tenant Act. The Landlord-Tenant Act is a law that now applies to you. No matter what your paperwork says, it applies to you. And the land contract, I'm out of that. So I like that a lot. And the second thing, which I think I told you about before, is once I lost in court with somebody who was claiming they did work to the property. And in the end, no different if you have a mortgage from a bank and you do work to the property, you still get foreclosed on. But there's a balance between do I have to foreclose or can I just evict? And so the way the judge, his words he used on me, which he said, because I was like, what difference does it make? And he says, the benefits and burdens have to convey. He says, what you have here is you get all the benefits and they get all the burdens. And so I spoke with my lawyer after, and he said, well, we need to do it this way, which is what we've done. So the benefits and burdens convey. Benefits being if the house appreciated, the paying down of the equity, quiet enjoyment. They can do whatever they want with the property. That's their benefits. The burden is you're the one that has to fix everything. You're the one that's responsible for taking care of it. You're the one, if the city says the grass has to be cut, is ultimately liable. And so the benefits and burdens have to convey, which is why we changed to land contracts.
So for my Roundup family that don't understand or are not privy to a land contract terminology, Scott, you want to kind of just give them a taste of it real quick? I'm going to
give you the exact short version that I give my buyers when we're sitting at the table. When they're like, well, how does this work? Yeah, my 30-year slow flip buyers.
Gotcha.
When I'm selling, I say this works exactly the same as if you were to get a mortgage from a bank.
Listen up, y'all.
The only difference is when you get a mortgage from a bank, the deed goes in your name and then you pay for 30 years. When you do a deal with me, you pay for 30 years and then the deed goes in your name. The exact same end result. And that's exactly how I explained it to them.
So they're responsible for all the repairs, and you are. I know you. Basically, you are essentially turning into the bank.
I am the bank, and that's it. And I like it that way.
Me too. Me too. Thank you for dropping that nuggets. Roundup. If you got any questions, Scott, you got time or no?
I got a couple minutes.
Okay. Somebody says they need the paperwork. Yeah. Obed.
Yeah. Do you mind if I give them a number they can just text and I'll send them the paperwork?
Yeah, put it in. I'll type it right in right here.
Yeah. So they can text me at 757-699-4227. And then I'll just send them I'll send them all the documents that they need.
Y'all don't be texting them unless y'all have the course. Don't be trying to get the documents and y'all be honorable with this thing. And it's only this is like a dinner night on the town. I just spent more than this in taking my wife out to dinner the other day.
Yeah.
Integrity, that's right. So I don't see any questions, Scott. I just really wanted to remind my Roundup viewers that you're giving them this special and just all the stuff you've done, Scott, man. I really appreciate all you've done for our industry.
My pleasure. I enjoy it every time. Good to see you, Chris.
Okay.
And, you need to stop by one of these days and see the resort.
Yeah, man. I need to do that. We'll do that when the next nice day, first of the year.
Yeah.
Get out there. Roundup, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share with any other investors. Take advantage. And the link, Scott's course is in the video description. Take advantage of this stuff that I've negotiated for you. Scott's not even offering it really to anybody else. It's really cool. All right, everybody. Take care.
All right. Good to see you.
Yep. Bye.